Hello to all listener. Today we go into the 610th storytelling session, which includes 2 letters. The first story is from Paul. He is 28 years old this year. He is the one who sent 2 stories to our channel in episodes 466 and 552. This time, he sent a story to share the spiritual experience that he and his wife went through involving magic charms. He said he really likes telling spiritual stories to others, but the problem is that he comes home from work tired and tries to rest. During parties or outings, he has alcohol in him, and he's afraid that if he tells stories then, he might get too excited and say something that offends the spiritual world. His job is a programmer, so most of the time he focuses on the screen and doesn't talk much with colleagues. Thanks to the chance of knowing this channel, he has the opportunity to retell the stories he knows. It fits his interests and contributes a bit to the listeners. He feels very happy about that. He still has many stories, so when he has free time, he will continue to send them. That year, he was a third-year student studying in District A, and his parents were still living in a rented room in Mrs. Thompson's row in District B. That was the rental row in story 466. In those years, most students went to school by bus. Those who were well off rode 50 cubic centimeter bikes or Dreams. In his final year, his younger cousin came up to study, so the 2 brothers decided to ask their parents to let them rent a place near the school for convenience, and their parents agreed. When boys live together, you know how it is. On days they felt like it, they cooked. When lazy, they went to the alley entrance to eat noodle. Out of 5 school days, they ate noodles for 3. At first, only a middle-aged couple stood there selling. One day, the husband was sick, so their daughter came out to help wash dishes and serve customers. Her name was Nancy. That year, Nancy was a second-year finance and banking student, 2 years younger than him. He asked around and found out, but didn't think much of it. But somehow, fate intervened. One day he forgot his documents and was punished by the teacher to stand outside the classroom. While looking around aimlessly, he saw Nancy walking past and realized they attended the same school. After that, they talked normally and invited each other out. It was funny. He made her ride her bike over to pick him up, but once they went out, he would take the lead since the school was close. They hung out many times and talked well. As the saying goes, proximity breeds fire. So, it wasn't a surprise that Paul and Nancy fell in love. By the time Nancy graduated, she took him home to meet her relatives. As for Paul, when he first started dating Nancy, his parents visited on weekends, and his younger cousin told him everything. So whenever his parents visited, he would take Nancy over to play with them. Nancy's paternal family was originally from the north, but had lived in the south for a long time. Paul was a bit hesitant, fearing Nancy's family was strict. At that time, Paul had just graduated, so his salary was very low. Nancy's father, Mr. Miller, was very scrutinizing about income. That was understandable, as he was worried for his child. Consequently, Mr. Miller did not agree to let Paul and Nancy date. He knew Paul well since Paul had eaten noodles at his shop throughout his student years. The 2 were able to date for a long time because Nancy hid it. Had her father known, it would have ended sooner. And not only was Mr. Miller against it, but his younger brother didn't like Paul either. But in return, Nancy's maternal family was very fond of Paul. When they sat together, the maternal side didn't ask about salary or money. They only told Nancy that her happiness was hers to decide. So, despite some being for and some against, the two continued their relationship. By the end of 2022, after the lockdown ended, they decided to get married. On New Year's Day, Paul's parents went to Nancy's house to talk, but her father still refused to let them marry. At that point, they almost gave up. But Nancy loved Paul very much. She told him to wait and see her father's intentions. She feared her father thought they were too young and impulsive. So the two continued dating for another year. Paul went to the house himself to suggest bringing his parents over to discuss the wedding. But Mr. Miller remained stubborn. Nancy's mother didn't say anything, so the two sat and pleaded with Mr. Miller. Then he said, "I don't agree. If you two want to get married, go ahead, but I won't be present at your wedding." Much later, they found out he had made some promise to a friend to marry Nancy into that family, so he opposed Paul. The salary was just an excuse. Paul went home and confided in his parents. He said it was too much of a struggle for Nancy. His family was also offended. However, in the end, the two moved forward with the marriage. On the wedding day, Paul's family came for the bride, and Mr. Miller was nowhere to be seen. Only Nancy's mother and some aunts and uncles sat at the main table. It was fine. The ceremony went smoothly. Everyone thought things would calm down after the wedding. But no, while the couple was happy, whenever they went to the paternal side for parties, the father-in-law and the uncles were openly unpleasant. But in return, the maternal side loved them very much. Paul decided to ignore the bad side and visited less. After being married for over 6 months, Paul suddenly felt exhausted. He thought it was due to overwork and stress from programming. He just took medicine for the symptoms. However, the medicine only worked for a few days before the symptoms returned with a fever. During those fevers, he felt like something was crawling under his skin. He took time off for a checkup. The doctor said he was stressed and advised him to eat and sleep well, or go on a trip. Regarding the crawling sensation, the doctor said it was just a sensory anomaly, not dangerous, and suggested vitamin B. He followed the advice, but it didn't stop. It went on for a whole month. He went from 86 kilograms down to the 70s. His grandfather, a spiritual man, said someone was harming him with magic. The grandfather went to a temple to ask a master, who confirmed he was cursed but said he didn't have enough power to break it. The master told them to find someone else. Eventually, the grandfather found a female healer in the countryside. She told them to bring Paul down so she could help. Let's call her the healer. When they arrived at her house, she told Paul's parents to buy 30 eggs, a knife, and a basin. Then she asked them to boil a pot of water with 20 eggs in it. While waiting, the healer spread a mat on a wooden bed and told Paul to take off his shirt and lie down. She talked to him, and he fell asleep without knowing. Later, his parents told him that when the water was ready, the healer pulled his right arm down toward the floor. She took the knife and made a cut on his upper arm. The scar is still there today. However, when she cut him, no blood came out. She took the eggs and rolled them from his head to his stomach, then back up and all around his upper body. After 3 eggs, She said anyone who wanted to watch could stay, but it would be nauseating. Her voice sounded very fierce then. She told his father to hold Paul's arm so the cut was over the basin. She poured the hot water into the basin and lit 3 incense sticks. Wherever she rolled the egg, she waved the incense above it, chanting something. His father stood right there, but couldn't understand a word. She rolled 2 eggs and threw them into the basin. Before the 3rd egg, she told his father to close his eyes or he might vomit. Indeed, as she rolled the 3rd egg, blood began to flow from the cut, but it wasn't red. It was black. Something crawled out with the blood, looking exactly like fly larvae. A total of 2 maggots and black blood flowed out from the 3rd egg to the 12th. When she rolled the 13th egg, red blood finally appeared. She then told them to bandage the wound. Since they hadn't bought bandages, his mother had to go get some. The healer told the grandfather and father to crack open the eggs if they wanted to see. Inside, there was black color and something like metal bits. After Paul was bandaged, the healer sat down with them. She said Paul was cursed by someone, but the practitioner was just hired and didn't act too harshly. However, the person who hired the practitioner wanted Paul to suffer and die. She wondered why anyone would hate such a kind person. At that moment, a thought struck Paul. It had to be his father-in-law. He told the healer his suspicion. She said, "Whoever did it will receive their karma. Don't tell Paul, and don't mistreat the daughter-in-law. If it's too much, don't live together anymore. Once you aren't related to that family, they can't curse you. Your wife is innocent." Back home, Paul told Nancy everything. She was stunned. When Paul's family went there to talk, Paul couldn't hold back and asked Mr. Miller, "You hate me for marrying your daughter, so you cursed me, right, Mr.?" Miller stood up, hands behind his back, and answered calmly, "I did it. What is your family gonna do? I didn't want you to marry my daughter. You were stubborn." Paul was so angry he wanted to fight, but his parents pulled him away. A sad thing followed. The two decided to divorce amicably after 10 months of marriage. Nancy cried a lot, but anyone in Paul's position would understand how could he stay involved with such a family. People might say he was bad, but he was terrified they would curse him again. Perhaps worse. He didn't know what kind of curse it was. They still keep in touch to check on each other, but they don't meet. In May, Paul married his current wife, Sarah. The chance to marry her also involved magic. They met in mid-2024. Sarah is 1 year older than him. She joined the IT department where he worked. Sitting next to each other, they found out they were from the same hometown. Sarah had been divorced for over 6 months, and her story was also tragic. When she was 25, a man pursued her. He was 8 or 9 years older, a playboy who had been married once, so Sarah didn't like him. No matter how hard he tried, she refused. But suddenly, Sarah agreed to marry him. After a year, he started womanizing. Her mother-in-law scolded her constantly. Her parents wanted her to divorce, but Sarah wouldn't. Sarah told Paul she had no feelings for the man, but she didn't understand why she married him. Later, being away from him made her agitated and irritable. Sarah's uncle, a lay practitioner, realized she was cursed. He told the parents to bring her to his house to break it. Her parents tried everything to get her there, but she refused. Finally, they had to drug her with a sedative to get her into the car. After the uncle broke the curse, Sarah felt healthy again. Her parents handled the divorce. After spending time together, Paul developed feelings for Sarah. Sarah was still traumatized though, so she didn't want to date. By the end of 2024, Sarah had a persistent cough. She thought it was from a weak lungs after COVID and the cold weather. She kept taking medicine. Paul was worried and told her to get a checkup. He drove her for 3 days of tests. The result was severe tuberculosis. Sarah was very pessimistic, as severe TB meant she might not live long. Paul could only comfort her. During the new year, Sarah invited the group to her hometown. Paul was excited because he wanted to visit the healer who saved him. She lived right near Sarah's house. When they walked into the healer's house, the healer looked at Sarah and said, "Who did you offend that they cursed you so heavily, child?" They were shocked because the medical diagnosis was a disease. The healer said, "They only need your birth date or hair to curse you. They don't need to see you." She told Paul to buy 20 eggs and boil them. After an hour, the healer and Sarah came out. She had 6 eggs in her hand and told Paul to crack them open, even though Paul had boiled them for 20 minutes when cracked. The eggs were rotten. Black water flowed out, smelling terrible. Sarah vomited on the spot. The healer said the same thing. "Karma will catch up. Don't seek revenge." She gave Sarah a wooden bracelet to wear at all times for protection. That night, after the group finished partying, Paul and Sarah were washing dishes. Sarah thanked Paul for always caring for her. Paul asked, "Do you want me to care for you for the rest of your life?" Sarah smiled and didn't answer directly. After that trip, they got closer, leading to the wedding early this year. The healer passed away in October 2025 due to old age. She was 88 and died peacefully. Paul and Sarah went back for the funeral. They offered money, but the family didn't accept. People say fate brings people together, and Paul finds it true. Looking back, their meeting seems prearranged. Sometimes during dinner, he asks his wife why they had so many tribulations, so if not for the magic, they might not be sitting together. Sarah scolds him, but he likes to tease her. It's fun. That is the end of Paul's letter. The second letter is from a person named Big. He is 32 years old. He asked not to reveal his location or the names of the characters. He is a big fan of these stories. His great-grandfather, Mr. David, is 97 years old but very sharp. Let's call him Great-Grandpa David. He had a master named Master James. The story is about his master. Great-Grandpa David said that when he was young, during the war, many people died. There were more ghosts than people on the road. Even as a child, he could see ghosts, so he was often teased by them. His village was called Berry Village because many berry trees grew there. At the end of the village was a thick bamboo grove. Very few people went there. Around noon, anyone coming home from the fields would be scared half to death. If you ran, it would follow behind, laughing loudly. But once you passed a few berry trees, it would disappear. The ghost wore a soldier's uniform. Sometimes it had a face. Sometimes it was just a black cloud. It followed people asking for rice because it was hungry. The villagers knew this, so they tried to return before noon or wait until after 1 p.m. Some people would leave a bit of rice and fish as an offering so they wouldn't be teased. One hot season, it was so stifling that people had to leave windows open to sleep. One night, Great-Grandpa David went to bed late. Around midnight, he felt someone watching him from the window. He peeked and saw a person standing there. The face was pale green, grinning at him with blood pouring from the mouth. He wasn't scared. He cursed at it and kicked toward the window. When he sat up, the ghost was gone. But the next morning, his leg was severely swollen. He had to seek a spiritual healer for it to heal. David's mother also had an encounter. One time, she was eating sour mangoes with friends and ate a piece of chili that was too hot. A neighbor ran to get her a pitcher of water. After drinking it and eating, she had a terrible stomach ache. She was running to the outhouse until 3 a.m. When she opened the door, she saw a giant face, white as a sheet, as big as a tray. She saw only the face, no body. She pretended not to see and closed the door, being too scared to move. The reason the bamboo grove had so many ghosts was because it was a mass gravesite from long ago. Seeing one ghost was normal. Sometimes people saw a whole line of people walking with their heads down into the grove and vanishing. Sometimes ghost children were seen jumping and swinging on the bamboo branches. One noon, David went to the fields to catch crabs. On his way back, he saw a column of black smoke at the bamboo grove. In the smoke were 2 bright red lights. He was curious and walked closer. Suddenly, the smoke turned toward him. He saw a thin, green being, just skin and bones, with giant eyes. It grinned at him, showing 9 fangs. He was terrified and ran home. That night, he had a high fever. In his delirium, he saw the demon trying to catch him. His mother prayed at the altar, and he felt a bit better. The next day, a master was traveling through the village and stopped at their house for water. The mother invited him in. The master said he saw black energy around the house, which is why he stopped. He looked at David and said, "Your son's soul has been taken by a demon." The master, Master James, was 65 years old. He didn't use flashy talismans. He wore simple brown clothes and had white hair. He took a dark red cloth from his bag that had symbols looking like human figures. He put the cloth over David's face, lit incense, and chanted while stomping his foot. Soon, Master James's eyes turned red and his face darkened. He spoke in a strange, deep voice. After a while, he removed the cloth and told the mother to help David sit up. He spat some wine on David's head and tapped it 3 times. David opened his eyes. The mother was overjoyed. Master James said he had pulled the demon's energy out. He explained that he belonged to a certain sect, and whenever he performed such rituals, his ancestors would possess him to help. David then mentioned he saw golden light and 2 tigers, one white, one black, behind the master. Master James realized David had spiritual potential. He said David had a religious calling from a past life. He suggested David follow him for 3 years to the mountains to train and change his destiny. The mother agreed. But before leaving, Master James went to the bamboo grove alone to subdue the demon. He later told David he caught it and sent it to a holy mountain to practice and serve him. David followed the master for 5 years and eventually became a healer himself, helping people without taking money. At 35, he married a beautiful and kind woman, the daughter of a wealthy man. Now, great-grandma is 87. He tells his great-grandson that if your heart is calm and your nature is good, you will meet good things. That is the end of the letter from Big.